that we have, all the different songs we sing, but also just at the bottom of that, copy and paste is what we'll be chanting today, our mantra and our song, our spiritual offering. I'll give instructions for everything throughout, so I'll talk about it and bring things up as they come up. But for now, just take a moment to connect with where you're sitting, where you're laying down, wherever you are. If that means taking a nice deep breath, maybe finding a little movement, a little stretch. You might take a little stretch of the arms up, breathing in and stretching the hands up. And breathing out, dropping them. If your hands are in your lap, sometimes it can feel kind of hard to figure out where to put them. If you're not taking a mudra or something like that, one way I like to just naturally let my hands find a spot on my thighs or something, just by lifting them up kind of to shoulder height, and then letting go. Fixing my body, kind of adjusting the fingers, but just really finding the spot that, like, naturally I sink into. Sometimes that's nice. Bring it back up. Today, as we move into Mother Harriet practice, last month or so, as we've moved through Lunar New Year and kind of passing that halfway mark between the solstice and the equinox, kind of climbing towards light, I've noticed it's been nice, but we've been talking a lot more and being a lot more maybe concrete about things, and so today we'll dip into a little bit more of listening, just to balance things out. They're both important, but our kind of invitation today is into just deep listening, into feeling into yourself and just letting your needs arise and fall. Perhaps we can trust ourselves that whatever we're worrying about, whatever's on our hearts, on our minds, that feels safe enough to put down, we can put that down for now. It'll be there for us when we're ready to pick it back up. And we'll start with just some gentle breathing, moving through some bell breaths together before doing Okinaga, our kind of central breathing practice for this sit. I'll explain that one when we get to it, but for the bell breaths, it'll just be a little box breath with the bells. So we'll breathe in through our nose, hold the breath for a couple seconds, really inviting ourselves to relax the container for the breath, that being your body, right? My lungs can only open up as far as my, tight neck and shoulders allow them to. So really just relaxing during that full period, and then breathing out through the mouth, and then holding that empty spot as well. Feeling that kind of whatever arises for you, whether it's calm, panic, a little stress, and just trusting that the inhale will come. For our inhales, we'll use the high bell, which sounds like this. And for our exhales, we'll use the low bell. Take a nice clearing breath in and out. Inhale Hold. Exhale. Hold. In. Hold. Out. Hold. In. Hold. 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 Let everything go. And let your breathing return to normal. As you just take a moment to notice how you feel. Everything we do today is opt in, opt out. Perhaps we can just let our experience be the guide. Perhaps we ask ourselves, what would I need right now to trust my experience in my life? How can I build a little safety so that it even feels comfortable to approach what I might need? Right? We don't have to start from the biggest thing. Sometimes I fall into the mental trap of being like, oh, I'm sad or anxious or something. Let me start at my biggest, grief with the world. And sometimes, yeah, I just need to look at that and sit with that. But usually that's something to sit with more than an actionable thing, right? There's rituals to do and things like that. But often when I feel the most grounded is when I have a kind of space to really listen to myself and name, what doesn't feel safe right now? How can where I am literally right now feel safer? Right? In a time of apocalypse and crumble and world building and dreaming, there, even if you lived your, ideal aligned life, we would still be within these systems, right? Not to say that there's no point in seeking to align yourself, but to say that we should be gracious with ourselves in how much rest and how much forgiveness and space we deserve while we navigate these systems, right? And so often the room we're in doesn't feel space or safe. How can we have somewhere within us, maybe? How can we foster something that we can feel in our experience? How can we tap into the experience of safety so that it's something we can call back? I think that's a question I've been asking myself. think a lot of times, as folks who've gone through many different traumas and who are living through a traumatic world, it can be scary to think of when did I even feel safe, right? It can feel like so much grief to recognize the scarcity. Maybe not the scarcity, but like the lack of abundance, right? The abundance we truly deserve compared to what we've worked through. But really looking at, when did I feel safe? What was going on? Who was I to myself? I think that has been a really important lesson for me this past couple weeks in guiding me back home to me. Not to where I think I should be going, not to the healing I wish I was doing, but to the healing that is presenting itself right in front of me. The one that I can't quite control, mold, or shape, but I can only like merge into. I think that energy is what I call into with Mother Harriet practice. Thinking, how do I get back to what I need to do right now? What's right in front of me? How do I deal with this field, then that woods, then that river, right? As I approach them. Because they're demanding my whole attention now. That kind of urgency for joining with, being with myself, I think, feels almost indulgent to me as somebody who fights the urge to shrink a lot. But really, I think I'm trying to believe I deserve that. I deserve that space. We deserve that liberation. We deserve the freedom we're dreaming about. We get closer to it by believing that, by trusting in our dreams, in our prayers, by starting to, I've been thinking of like believing in my prayers as in I'm saying things out of a place of like self-trust, like I'm speaking from alignment sometimes when I'm feeling good. And when I do that, it's easy to believe what I'm saying. Like it's easy to feel like the power in my grief because like it feels true. And I'm like living in the experience of it rather than conceptualizing it and trying to tap at it. So here's my kind of abstract heart pouring section of this before we go into the breathing. But we'll just move into Okinaga before going into our main practice. Okinaga means long breath in Japanese. Oki, breath, naga, long. And it's a practice of really just slowing down, tapping into your own expansion. And for me, like I always say, it's, and I'm sure I say it probably because somebody said it to me, but it's a practice of really approaching and examining, exploring impossibility and possibility, shattering my perceptions of impossibility, and really getting away from even trying to quantify, is this possible or not? Is my experience that I'm having possible? Rather than just like, what is this experience? What is this breath that's slowed down, slower than I ever thought it would be? Or what is this short breath that feels longer than I ever imagined it would? What is this tension, right? Just opening up to slowing down the breath. We'll breathe in through the nose, trying to just let the breath trickle through the back of the nostrils without as much, force as possible. Breathing out through the mouth, same thing, letting the breath release from the back of the throat. And we'll just start with 5-second inhales and exhales, move up to 10, 15, and we'll do maybe 22, maybe 120 breath. Feel free to take as many breaks as you need to, reset breaths. The point isn't to do this perfectly or any sort of successfully. It's just to see what it feels like for you. And doing this practice over time, it becomes a sort of like a baseline. You get to know your breath in a different way, you know, and we can listen a little deeper, a little clearer to the signals our body's trying to send us. So we'll take a second to just take a couple clearing breaths on your own time. Perhaps if you'd like to, visually, mentally, you can find yourself at the base of a tree, in the woods. Maybe the trunk of the tree supports your back. Hear a couple birds, the wind rustling through the trees. You've been just sitting there for a while. As you look around, you've noticed the sun is set. The moonlight is gently reaching out, dancing across your skin and the soil, the earth. Perhaps as we move into these breaths, we can open up our heart space, our core, our center, to a little expansion, to the possibility of finding not just a me at the bottom of this breath, but my entire ancestry. Not just Mother Harriet, but all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, all of your friends, your lovers, your community. Each bit of soil that's ever held your feet. We can take a few breaths together. Deep breath in. Let it all out. Inhale. Exhale. In. Out. In. Out. 10 seconds in. Out. Slow. Longer in. Last breath in. Feel yourself be filled, holding it at the top, relaxing. Let it all go. Take a moment to check in with your body, to feel whatever awareness is arising in this moment. If we need holding, we can return to the earth. Notice it through the cushion, floor, chair beneath us. Imagine that tree, that holding. The way that damp earth sort of takes its impression of you. Like seeing a wet footprint, right? It always holds you exactly as you are. Making space for however deep you need to sink. And we'll move into our main practice. Again, if you'd like to have the visualization of just staying at that tree with the moonlight and inviting Mother Harriet into your space, we'll go into first the mantra in the chat of Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. And I'll say it a bunch of times over, so feel free to read along, feel free to just listen along, chant along, hum along, whatever feels right for you. The translation of this is, or one translation is gone, gone beyond, gone completely beyond, awakening, so be it. And so it's the central mantra, or dharani, which is like a kind of heart spell in Buddhism, and of the Heart Sutra. And so, to me, using this mantra, working with this mantra to connect with Mother Harriet and to connect with, like, whatever inside of me is that expression of fierce compassion and liberation and clarity, is to know that it's beyond. Not only is it beyond what I can imagine, it's beyond that. And so be it, right? And right now, in this lifetime, in this body, in this world, I can come home. And so, holding the, not even duality, because that's so much more than two, but holding the heft of that in my body, the grief of the now, and the surety and deliverance of the next arising moment, and the inseparability of those two. You know, one of my favorite visual metaphors for time is the rope metaphor, where if you think of like a 10-foot rope, right? It's one rope, but it's also a bunch of other ropes like braided together to make that rope. And within that are individual fibers, none of which are 10 feet long, right? They're made, I don't know how long fibers are, but like they're all going, you know, they're attaching to each other through tension. And so it's all one rope, right? If I start the fire at one end, it'll get to the other side and the rope will burn. But there's so many, there's just more rope than I could ever imagine once you break it down and break it down and break it down, right? And they're all just meeting each other at tension points, at little tiny frictions. That's how, like, I understand a fleeting moment, is that, like, after somebody puts their hand on my cheek and takes it away, or even I do it to myself, there's that one little imprint of warmth. And that's like the hook between now and next. And so, trying to sink into that space. What arises there? What can I hear? I always act like I'm not gonna talk. I'm like, I'm gonna be so quiet today, guys. You're not even gonna know I'm here. But thank you. I love to chat with y'all. Alright, we'll move into our mantra practice. I'll open up with the bell, and we'll just go through a few slow times, recite our communal prayers together, which I'll say out loud, and then move into our spiritual offering. Gate, gate, para, gate. Arasam, gate, bodhi, swaha. 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 Gate, gate, para, gate. Arasam, gate. Breathe. Perhaps you bring your hands to your body in some place that feels safe to hold. Almost hugging those vibrations, those physical sound waves, the bells, our voices, our beating hearts. Just holding the space of offering in each and every direction, expansively inward and out. As we sit in this space, we might say aloud or say to ourselves deep within our heart space the prayer of, may all beings be free. May we experience liberation. May we rebirth a free world. So be it. Awakening, connection. The deepest part of me. That is the deepest part of you. May this breath, as we move into this year of the blue wood dragon, blue medicine Buddha's color, may this breath be healing. The wood dragon, may this breath combust in my stomach and expel a fire that can reach across the skies. May my joy, my compassion, my grief, my rage clear the path before me. And today our song offering is a song that a friend of Atlas and I, Issa, taught me over on the Salish coast. Oh, Issa's here! They just turned on the camera and Issa's there. Wow. Goosebumps. I love you both. Wow. Issa taught me this song. It's Hush, Wait, Listen. And they taught it to me. We did a little queer fight camp in the woods in this big sauna that you like feed a whole tree to underneath. Nice and hot, echoey. And so we'll sing this a few times. Again with that invitation of just deep listening. You know, what am I feeling? What's going on? Take a few breaths, adjusting if you need to, drinking water, tending to your body. Remembering that you can hold yourself, you can return to the woods, the tree, the moonlight, whatever you need. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Hush, wait, listen, listen. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Dwell in the song of the breathing, breathing. Hush, wait, listen. May each and every prayer, said and unsaid, that there are words for, and that we only feel at the deepest and most guttural of our breaths. May they be heard. May they be felt. May they be transformed into the fire of our breath. And clear the path before us. Clear our intention. Clear our hearts. Make space for it all. May the fields that need to be raised be raised. And may the trees and life and decomposition that happen in their ashes be free and fruitful to transform and change as they please. Svaha, may it be so.